Welcome back, everyone, to Swans Cast. Then, so this will be like the second main episode of our podcast style show, if you like. So I've got Lee and John with me today. So Lee up the top left, John is down the bottom, but you can't see his camera today. So there'll be like graphics and stuff there, like what we usually put in. So we've got a couple of topics we're going to cover today. Obviously, our form's been quite good. We're still sitting handily at the top of the table. But before we get into any of that, please hit the subscribe button if you enjoy what we're doing. It does help support us and helps the channel grow and allows us to keep doing this and expand and get more stuff out as well. And leave a like, same reasons, helps the channel out. And if you want to keep up to date and notified, there's a little bell icon next to the subscribe button that will make sure all of our videos get notified to you when they go out. So having said all that, then transfer deadline day was yesterday, so a lot of news. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about Swans related, but also a lot of stuff to talk about from the wider championship as well. So we'll make a start on some of the Swansea signings. 5 players in total. So we've got Jordan Morris, Ben Hamer, Paul Arriola, Morgan Whittaker and Kieran Freeman. So let's start with Jordan Morris then. We have seen a little bit of him already. So he's signed on a 6-month loan deal. He's come from the MLS, from Seattle. And we saw a little bit of him against Brentford, against Rotherham. Yeah, so Jordan Morris, an exciting signing. So what do you make of him?
I can't say I know a lot about him, if I'm honest. Obviously, he's got a good reputation in MLS. He's got a few international appearances for the USA. His goals are too bad. I suppose he's got over 130 club appearances. So, I mean, it just adds that extra bit of sort of excitement, I suppose, to them. Yeah, going to flounder extra numbers in the team. So, yeah, it's all I think is pretty exciting signing there.
Yeah, so I did write some stuff down about him, and I think you mentioned earlier about his trial with Werder Bremen. And you weren't sure about why that sort of hit the rocks. But there's a funny story about that, which I looked into a little bit the other day. So apparently he came through the youth ranks in America through like the university system. And I think he's one of the first, if not the first, players, or at the time he was the only one that was playing for the national team whilst at uni, like we're in a uni team. Obviously stuff works a bit different over in America than it does over here with like sports and stuff like that. I guess quite similar to how NFL works, but you'll know more about that, Lee, than I do. But come through the like university system, got offered a trial over in Germany, which I think he went to. But I think he just maybe graduated at the time, or was just about to graduate from his university or whatever. And the reason that he didn't go was because his parents had bought him and his partner a new dog. That's why he stayed in America and ended up playing in the MLS, and that's a true story apparently. I've read about it, and I've also heard on YouTube videos American fans quoting that as the reason why why he's never gone to Europe, because a lot of them have been pushing for him to go, saying that's the next step he needs to take, and they were kind of getting to the point now because he's 26 where they thought it wasn't going to happen. So what do you reckon then, Lee? What's your thoughts on him?
Well, similar to you two, really. I don't know a lot about him. I don't watch a lot of MLS football, but looking at it from an off the field point of view, I think it's a clever bit of business to bring in someone from the MLS, especially. It sounds like he's got a big following. I know we've seen sort of murmurs on Twitter and other things that people are excited to see him play for us, and like you said, they were all excited for him to like make that next step over to Europe. So I think it's a bit of clever business, really, from the owners. Maybe they've had a say in that with the connection. So I think it's quite clever to bring him over. But yes, what I've seen on the videos, he seems like it's all right. But I think take the videos you see with a pinch of salt in the MLS. No disrespect, but I'll see what he's got. Let's see what he's got. Obviously, he's got a big following, a good bit of backing. So let's see what he's made of.
Yeah. So a couple more things on him. So he could play winger or forward, which I think we might have already covered. I think, John, you said he's had 39 caps. So highly regarded. He is like a fan favourite, as you said. And I think for Seattle, he scored 35 goals in 105 appearances. So that's a decent record for someone that doesn't necessarily always play as a striker. where he'll fit into our system. I think we already saw briefly that he did play as striker when Lowe got substituted in the last game. Didn't really get on the ball too much, which is no fault of his own. There's definitely, obviously, we're going to see more from him before we can really make a judgment, but quite excited to see what he can bring to the table. So,
one random point on him. I think I did read he's type 1 diabetic. I don't know, I don't think many sports people can be diabetic and sort of be at elite level at their sport, so fair play to him for that as well. And I know I did read some sort of random that he's got a tattoo on his arm, sort of replicating, I think it's T1D, is it, on his arm, on his forearm, which sort of
I didn't realise that.
He's a type 1 diabetic as well. Yeah,
well, is
it's a bit of random
therefore,
reading. I did a bit of wiki earlier.
If he needs any medical attention, they can instantly recognise it. Is that
think,
the reason?
I mean, they used to wear... I know diabetics used to wear a little bit, didn't they, to say sort of type 1, but I think whether it's relevant to that or whether it's just sort of his personal preference. But I mean, I suppose that's a bit of interesting reading I read earlier on him as well.
I didn't realise that. Yeah, that's... like you said, I guess it's one of them where you've got to have that extra bit of drive about you to be able to succeed at the top level with the extra management 100%. That comes with having that unfortunate illness, which I don't envy anyone that's got that. It's horrible to have to go through. But yeah, so that's first. Well, it wasn't the first signing, but that's the first one we've talked about. The actual first signing was a goalkeeper, which Swans like to sign goalkeepers, or have in recent memory anyway. So Ben Hamer from Huddersfield for what's quoted as an undisclosed fee. I believe is very low, if anything. His contract was up in the summer for Huddersfield, so he would have been free. He's 33 years old. It's for an 18-month deal that we've signed him for, so interesting point, I think, to talk about in a second. He's made 15 appearances for Huddersfield this year, so he has played this season in their first team. And he made 7 appearances for them while they were in the Premier League. And he also made 4 appearances for Leicester City while in the Premier League. So he's played in the Prem, not loads, but he has played there. And I say it's interesting about the 18th month deal. Obviously, this came just after Bender got injured and is probably a significant part of why he came in. So Bender is essentially out for most of the rest of the season, if not all of it, I think. So yeah, we needed cover, so he's going to obviously be the cover for the next 6 months. But then you ask the question, who's going to be the goalkeeper next year? So are we going to retain Woodman? That could potentially depend on whether we go up or not. And even if we did go up, there's no guarantee that we would. So again, you're down to Bender now and Hamer next year that are on our books as it stands. Whether that changes or not, who knows? But I'm guessing that's the reason for the 18th month deal. And that's the reason maybe they brought him in now instead of potentially just getting him on a free in the summer. But potentially they just contacted Huddersfield and gave them a little bit of money to get him in now. I'm guessing that's what's happened. Obviously, I don't know, but I'm just speculating. So yeah, interesting one. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think again a bit of clever business, really. I think if I didn't think we needed a goalkeeper. Obviously, Bender got injured, so I think it's sort of a transfer that covers all bases, like you've touched on. I think it covers sort of that injury, and I think it's got that potential if we do go up. Then, whether we bring in Woodman again or not, then like you said, he could play in the Premier League in some capacity.
Yeah.
And again, if we don't go up then and it doesn't work out, then we've only got him for another season, or potentially could start for us in the Championship if we don't go up. So I think it's another clever sign. Just covers everything.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about him and how he plays this game, but do you know anything else about him, John, other than the stuff I already mentioned?
No, I mean, it's good to have sort of contingency plan, I suppose, isn't it? At the moment, we're looking like we're going up, but if we don't, then Freddie goes back, and you're down to just sort of Sven Bender then, or even well at a lower Swindon. I mean, Ben experience, I suppose. So yeah, it's good to have, I suppose. So yeah, it's clever. Yeah, it's clever transfer.
Yeah, I guess like we've signed goalkeepers that are not so well known before, he's had experience in the Premier League and in the Championship, so he should be able to slot in and do a job. I mean, you just look at Mulder. We signed him from, I think it was Australia where we got him from. So he wasn't really experienced. I don't think any of us were even expecting him to ever play in a competitive game. But when we got relegated, he did a decent job for us in the Championship. So, it could be, as long as he's that level, I guess we can't really complain while we're here. And he could potentially be better as well. Moving on then, so another signing from the MLS, which happened amongst the madness last night. So obviously this has been recorded the day after deadline day, but a lot of people might have been disturbed in their sleep with a couple of notifications from the Swansea app, which I'm not complaining about, but 3 signings on deadline day, which is not really Swansea-like of late. And first one being a loan signing from DC United. So we've got Paul Arriola. So he's a right-sided player, because it depends where you look for the information. Some people are saying he plays right back or wing back. Some people are saying he plays right winger. And some people have even said he plays striker. So it looks like he's a bit of a utility sort of player, but on the right side. Definitely has goals in him. So we've got a loan for the rest of the season. From what I read, a future fee is not yet agreed, but they were open to continuing to discuss that part of the deal over the next couple of weeks. So potentially they might agree a future fee for the end of the season. He scored 14 goals in 72 appearances for DC United and 8 in 35 for the USA. And I believe he scored a couple quite recently in a match for them. And he's 25 years old, so 1 year younger than Jordan Morris. Again, I've heard quite exciting things about him. Some American fans who are saying he's an exciting player, but I haven't seen anything about him. Obviously, he plays for DC United, and there's a connection there with the owners, as you mentioned earlier, Lee. But yeah, have either of you two then seen anything about Arriola?
I can't. Again, I mean, I'm not going to say like I follow the MLS a lot. It's that right-sided cover. I mean, Connor Roberts is up and down all the time. I mean, we don't have you could say Kyle Norton, I suppose, on the right, but he's centre back over the last sort of 6 months.
Yeah.
Cover again. I mean, I don't know a lot about him. I mean, he's played with Wayne Rooney for 2 years, didn't he? So I mean, he to me, he seems like more horse, and I know we're going to sort of Kieran Freeman later, but I mean, I think Kieran Freeman as cover for Connor Robertson. Arriola is going to be used further, firstly, but I mean, another addition, yeah. I mean, walking up at 1:20, there's a notification from the Swans app, but I mean, it's not the way we usually do business, but I mean, additions and, an extra squad member, which can always be a good thing.
Yeah. I think, yeah. So I'm not sure if he will be covered for Connor Roberts. That's what you said, isn't it? So I think he's potentially could play there. I didn't expect Kieran Freeman. I don't know where that came from, but that seemed to be quite a late one that sprung out of nowhere. But I think maybe he was there originally as an option, but now we've got the other option in. Potentially now he's not going to be. And you said about Kyle Norton being cover. I've heard some people saying we didn't need cover a right back, but I don't think Kyle Norton does the same job as wing back.
Did. Yeah.
I don't think he does the same job as Connor Roberts as wing back. He's a right back, but he's not as forward thinking. So obviously he's been transitioned into a centre back now, isn't he? So
yeah.
I think that's what Cooper sees him as. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this Arriola is a right-sided player, isn't he? I mean, like you say, it's debatable whether he's a forward player or a right back. But I mean, that versatility is good, I suppose. Especially we were saying on the last pod, weren't we? But Cooper's trying to blend players into his way of thinking rather than having him in rigid positions. So to have a right-sided player, he can be attacking and he can be defensive. So yeah, it can only be a good thing, really.
It's just more options. But yeah, Lee, what do you make of this one?
I'm with you too. Really. I could be wrong, but I wonder if he's sort of exploring another option in the way that all season now he's been playing the 3 at the back with the 2 wing backs. But I'm wondering with Morris and Arriola coming in, I wonder if he's thinking maybe at some point he may have to mix it up a bit and play with the wingers and play with those two wide and play with one down the middle and Ayew in behind or something. So I wonder if he's thinking for the run-in, if he needs to mix it up a bit, because I think, it served us well up till now, but I think, and nobody's really worked it out, I think we can say so far.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he's bringing them in with that option to maybe one game we play with like four across the midfield with two wingers. But it makes sense to me. I said previously I think we needed cover in that position with Connor Roberts because he was the only player that we've got that can play in there, and I think he was using Garrick, but I think he's done like a straight swap now, isn't he, with Swindon? But I think that was more of a Garrick can't really play in that position, so we'll send him out and bring in somebody who can. So I think it makes sense to me, and there's just heaps of options now.
Yeah, so, and really the transition to that sort of formation, all that you're doing is taking a centre back and putting them on.
I mean, if you need to, if you're chasing a game, like the games that we've had, like the Reading game, I keep going back to it when, we were desperate for a goal, with 0-0, we were commanding the game. I think I'll bring on two players with pace on the wing and go with that, then it might work out.
Yeah, I think when we got relegated to the Championship from the Premier League, we had an abundance of wingers. I don't think we really, and maybe we thought they were good and at that time, but now it's only like 2 years later, 2.5 years later, some of them are gone. You got like Barry McKay, Asoro that we signed that season, gone or irrelevant if you like, because I think Cooper's already said, I'm not trying to be harsh on Asoro, but he's just had his loan terminated, but Cooper has made clear that he's not going to be in the first team plans. And all of a sudden we were left with he's a winger, but he's a different type of winger. He's not really pacey, cuts inside a lot. Or you had Routledge again, he's not really pacey anymore because he's old, he's got to be a little bit more clever. I'm not knocking Routledge, does a really good job, but if you wanted pacey wingers, they're not the ones that are going to give you that necessarily. And I guess Lowe would be an option. He probably could give you that. But that's really it as well after we released Dyer. So having now Morris, who is a left-sided, I think, left or forward, and then Arriola, who can play on the right, I guess definitely now that gives that formation is back on, if you like. And even Connor Roberts has played right winger in the past, so there's definitely opportunities now to switch it up. And I guess if you sprung it, for example, up against Norwich, they wouldn't be expecting that. So maybe you could catch a team off guard. But yeah, that's Arriola, and we did touch on during our conversation Kieran Freeman, so we'll just move on to him now. So I actually didn't realise he was part of the team that got promoted to the Premier League with Sheffield United, not last season, but the season before. He's 28 years old, so he's a right back, and he played quite a few times in that team that got promoted, 20 appearances with 2 goals, and he did play for them last season in the Premier League as well. And I'm guessing he must have got released because now he's ended up at Swindon and only played a couple of games there. And now we've gone in and swapped him for Garrick and an undisclosed fee. So, John, what do you make of this one?
Well, he's got 1 Wales cap, so that ticks a box straight away. But yeah, it's a straight on with the Swindon thing. Mind, I was reading a bit of like the socials the other night, and I don't know. He was signed Swindon on a free beginning of January, and he played 2 games for them. Within 3 weeks, he's signing for Swansea.
That is weird.
And we've given them. It's a strange one, yeah. But I mean, Wales international right back, 28 years old. He's got 100 appearances for Sheffield United. He's played in the Premier League, so.
I just find it weird how,
definitely.
A couple of weeks ago, it was a free transfer. The scouts must have been aware of him for a while. But we've not gone in for him, but then gone in for him after he signed for a club. I didn't even know you could leave on a transfer when you've just in the same period, or maybe you can. Maybe that's just me playing Football Manager and knowing the players don't want to do that, but what was that?
Are we actually? Is
it
a loan?
No. We've actually got him
and
given him Garrick on loan.
Oh,
You're making me doubt myself now. Garrick has gone on loan.
I lost all control yesterday with everything that was going on.
I think Swin a bit of trouble as well, I think, and I think their clubs, their supporters, there's rumblings from their supporters that the owners aren't doing the right thing. And I mean, but yeah, I've never heard of that player joining a team for 2 weeks and on off even again within 2 appearances. That's strange, but I mean, extra right back, Connor Roberts. The way he runs up and down that line, he can't do it for the next 10 years. So to have an extra sort of option in that area is all for it.
I think again, it was the only, like we said, it was the only position that we didn't have cover really, because nobody does the Connor Roberts cover like he does. And like the other side, you've got Manning does what Bidwell does essentially.
Yeah.
But I think Connor Roberts was on his own, wasn't he? So it's going to be a cover thing. I can't see him in that many games. But yeah, it's cover, isn't
it? Just a quick update then because this is currently being recorded on Tuesday. So we've got some championship games on. Obviously, when this is uploaded, there will be confirmed results. But for us, we're just seeing Norwich drew 0-0 with Millwall. So in regards to the table, we've got a game in hand. So if we beat them, our game in hand could see us top of the league. So it's a big game.
Brentford.
Obviously, Brentford have that over us as well. So basically, if we beat Norwich, we can secure top 2 when all the games in hand are played, as it stands. That's a big ask, I know, but I'm just putting it out there that Norwich aren't clear and dry in that first position, or even second position now, and this draw today puts their place now at risk, and it's actually achievable for both us and Brentford. So just adds to the occasion, I guess, of Friday. But
I think
we'll discuss that.
I think you'd rather have points on the board than games in hand, wouldn't you? But like you say, if it puts us at a slight advantage, then yeah, definitely. But I think Brentford are the team to do. I think Norwich have got a lot of injuries. Well, they did have a lot of injuries sort of for Christmas. I think Brentford, if any team that finishes above Brentford, I think is going to get this year. But I mean, if Norwich can't beat Millwall away and we can pounce on that, then 100%. Let's do it.
Watford have dragged themselves back into it. I think they fell away a bit, but they've dragged themselves. I know they lost yesterday, didn't they? But I think it's a 4-team race for the top 2. I think Norwich, Brentford, us, and Watford. I think Bournemouth are drawing at the moment, aren't they? But they've been rubbish this season. So
I think you'd be an harsh. I think it's a 4-team race for that top 2. I think. I think you'd be an harsh on Reading.
I am being harsh. I am being harsh on Reading because they fell away and they've come back. We battered them all.
We also battered Watford though.
Yeah, but Watford squad is ridiculous. Like the players that they've got in there, they've got to be top 3 at least. Watford.
The only reason I'm saying you're being harsh on Reading is because they're currently on the same points as Watford with a game in hand.
Yeah, but I'd fancy as a non-betting man.
I mean, I think everyone was saying Bournemouth earlier this season, but they've fallen off a cliff recently. So they're on 43 now. They still occupy 6th position, but they are 7 points behind us.
I'd fancy us to finish above Reading, and I'd fancy Watford to finish above Reading as well. But I could be wrong, because they have done well in all fairness.
If any Reading fans are watching this, then you know where he is. He's in the Swans Cast. So get on the Twitter and give him stick if you disagree.
Famous last
There's always that one team as well, boys. There's always that one team that comes up on the outside there. No one recognises, and then they get sort of 9 points on 3 games, and all of a sudden they put straight in the mix. So I don't know. I don't think Reading can be underestimated, but I tell you an interesting one on the Watford one is they've just signed Philip Zickernagel from Bodo Glimt. The amazing Norwegian side Bodo Glimt.
I was gutted when I saw that we were not actually in for him after we were linked, because Bodo have scored so many goals this year. Like, it's unreal. If you ever betting on someone, they were like, just bet on Bodo for like over 3.5. He was like bad goal all the time. But anyway, we digressed a little bit. Let's just finish these transfers and then we can talk a bit more about Norwich. The last one, then Morgan Whittaker. Bit of a I guess he's just for the future, really. He's made some first team appearances for Derby. But I can't see him really ousting any of the team right now. I think he's going to be on the bench regular, and maybe he'll come on once or twice. A bit like the amount we saw Cullen Although maybe even now a little bit less with the likes of Arriola and Morris here. But he's only 20 years old, so I'm sure he expects that. Those two are on loan, and obviously we got Cullen. He's basically out for the rest of the season now. But there's two youth coming through, and we haven't seen... Well, we don't know which one's better yet till we see a bit of Whittaker, but he might turn out to be very good. He was part of the England youth under Steve Cooper. I'm not sure if he was in the direct age grade that he managed. I think I watched his interview earlier and he said he was one below, but he knows Mike Marsh well from there and obviously knows Steve Cooper, so he felt very confident coming here. So he's made 20 appearances for Derby. He's got Sorry, I'm lying. I'm reading the wrong persons. 25 appearances for Derby and scored 1 goal. It's thought we signed him for about 700,000, 750,000, but I'm not sure the exact amount. And it's on a 4.5-year deal, so definitely one for the future. And even if it's like he ends up going on loan maybe next year, and I don't know, maybe if he doesn't end up playing for us that much, maybe it's something we could make a profit on. But that's just if worst case scenario maybe. But so what do you think about Whittaker then, boys?
Yeah, I don't really know that much about him, to be honest. I think, yeah, well, I'm trying to second guess what they're doing really. I think because Cullen has just signed a new contract, hasn't he? So and they brought him in as well. I don't know if it's obviously looking more towards the future. Maybe Ayu's not going to be there much longer. Maybe if we go up, he might sign a new contract. But I think looking more long term, him and Cullen working together for a long time, and then obviously the 2 American players are on loan, so they'll be going back after this season. So yeah, it's another one for the future, but it's clever in a way because Cooper's brilliant with the young players. So bringing in as many of these young players as they can, I'm all for it. That's fine.
I guess maybe Cooper's hands have been tied for a while in terms of what he can bring in. So he's slowly trying to build his own team. He knows, like you said, Ayu's not long term. I think the 2 Americans, though, I know they're only on loan, but there is potential the one or both could stay. So maybe he does want to use wingers ultimately in what he wants to do, but obviously he's got to use what he's got until he can build a team. So I'm not sure who he's planning on building a team around, but I guess it's going to be around youth. But usually you're building it around a certain style or a certain player. Maybe it's Matt Grimes, to be honest. And you could say bringing in Horahan has definitely improved his game. And again, he's another one. He's available on free in the summer, so he could potentially stay longer. But yeah, John, have you got anything to add?
Well, it's Cooper's pull again, isn't it, from the England youth? I mean, I suppose the telling point is he signed a 4-year deal or 4.5-year deal, and so I can't see this. I can't see Whittaker joining straight in. I think he'll drop into the 23s, like we've seen a lot of the players done. Yeah. Like Dan James stuck up half the knee. We signed him and he jumped in there. But yeah, exciting for the future. So yeah, I mean, long term. I think we paid 700,000 for him as well, from what I read. So
something about that, yeah.
The club must, they must show some sort of, they know the potential is there. So yeah, it's good. Exciting.
I think that fee as well.
Derby have got Rooney's. Derby have got Rooney's salary to pay now.
Yeah, and Rooney wants to do his own things. But apparently, I looked into it a bit, and there's been a lot of Derby fans. It's like 50-50. Half of them are like, good, he's rubbish. Bear in mind he's 20, and he's only made 20 games, 25 games. And then the other half are like, oh, he's got potential. He's come through our academy. He's like one for the future. But they've had a handful of strikers that have done that, and he's like 3rd in the pecking order or something of a couple of strikers that have come through their youth. So that's why, essentially, maybe they've let him go. Haven't there been some instances where they haven't been paying players as well, Derby? Is that correct? Yeah. And isn't it like takeover rumours and stuff? So there's a bit of turmoil maybe at that club. So, but in terms of the 700,000 fee, we haven't really spent much money the last couple of years.
No.
So I think that's a good sign, because I think it signals, one, they're prepared to maybe spend something, but number 2, they trust Cooper. They're trusting Cooper to do what he wants, to get the players that he wants, and they're giving him money when he wants to get someone specific in, and allowing him to get him. Because at the end of the day, it's not 700,000 on an experienced player for this league. It's 700,000 on someone that could work or could not work. So they're trusting Cooper, really.
I think it makes sense, because if you think Azoro was the same when we signed him from Sunderland. I remember Sunderland fans saying he was the next big thing. And I think, what was it, 2 million or 1 million that we
It
signed
was something, yeah.
Azoro for? And then, obviously, like two managers have come in and not seen anything in him.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a gamble, isn't it? But if anybody can probably get a tune out of a young player, it'd be Cooper. So
yeah, I think he's
watch his space,
got a reputation for that now. Speaking of Asoro, though, so I've got some just a roundup then. I will go over quickly of other transfer activity, not the incomings, not the ones that are interesting, but just to keep everyone informed. So outgoings for Swans then. So we've got Declan John went to Bolton on loan. I think his contract's up in the summer though, so we won't be seeing him back. George Byers, we know, have gone to Portsmouth on loan. Hopefully he'll get some game time and that's going to help him out. And we've already spoke about Garrick going to Swindon on loan. Morgan Gibbs-White and Casey Palmer and Victor Gyökeres all got recalled by their parent clubs. And speaking of Gyökeres, he's gone to Coventry now in the Championship and already scored a goal for them.
Hey.
And then there's two more things. So Josh Gould had his loan at Bury. It either expired or he was recalled. I think he was recalled. So that was around just after Bender got injured. We recalled him and then signed Hamer, I think. Don't know whether it was linked or whether they were going to do it anyway, but it was interesting to see that. And Joel Asoro has been sent back from Genoa after they were impressed with him. And who's the one we got? Brandon Cooper as well from Newport, wasn't it? We recalled him.
Yeah, from Newport. Yeah.
He came back and got a season-ending injury, so that was definitely a good move. So that's a roundup of the Swan stuff. And then I got one question for you two. If you can or can't answer, that's fine, but just have a quick think. If you could sign anyone, whether it's someone you think that we needed to sign in this transfer window, like a position we needed to cover, or just like don't think about the money, be realistic in your approach though. But who would you have maybe gone and got for the Swans if you had the opportunity? So I had to think, and I've gone with someone that we have been linked with in the past, but as someone I really wish that we had gone in for when we were linked for him, Lawrence Shankland. He currently plays with Dundee, and he's still banging them in. I think he wasn't at Dundee when we were linked with him. 28 in 47 for Dundee, so he's still doing the business after he's moved there. So I think that would have been a good one either last year or the year before when we were linked with him. But have you two got, Lee, have you got someone that you would, if you could just get someone?
I think, well, when you said it off the top of my head, I think someone like, well, I don't know if I think he's played a bit more now, but I would have said like someone like Dwight Gale from Newcastle. I don't know if he's playing that much with Wilson and
tried and tested.
Linton, so
I think he comes off the bench, doesn't he?
Like obviously, like money with us is an issue, but like if there was no money, someone like Dwight Gale, guaranteed goals championship. I think
he'd done it for a couple of
someone
clubs
like that
on a bounce, didn't he, and got him promoted.
Yeah.
John?
Apart from that, though, I think like pound for pound, our business been great.
Yeah, definitely. This is just sort of like if you could pick someone, I guess, if you were the football manager of Swansea on the game. Yeah. But yeah, John?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a hell of a shout, mate. That Shankland. I know. I did read stories. We were linked to them, and he's been bagging in Scotland for a long time. But I'm with the business we have. I know we needed cover on the right side, and we needed possibly a centre forward. I don't know, like with the two Americans, there's talk that they're forward players, but then you read other stories where Arriola is more defensive. But I'm happy with the business we've done, boys, to be honest. I know Joe Garner is a name that was thrown around a couple of months ago, and I was excited with that, the Man United youngster. But again, where we go in the midfield, we've got Hurahan, I think is going to be superb. He's going to be the key to us going up and down this year, I reckon. I think that's a very straight bit of business.
And 2 in 2.
All in all, I can't fault the business. I mean, the American owners, they do deserve a bit of credit. I mean, they've had some stick when they first took over, but it's been a brilliant window for me. I wouldn't really want to add any more to that. I think
I agree.
I think with the American owners, and I could be shooting a rod to my own back here because I know it's very divisive, but they had stick, they made mistakes, they've done things wrong, we've had bad stuff happen as a result of it, we got relegated, whatever. We've got to think about what's happening now and what's happened since we come down. The side, they get Trevor Birch in, they had a good manager, Graham Potter, and then followed that up with Steve Cooper. And as much as Winter didn't get off to a good start, he's not really done a bad job. And at the moment, we're probably in the most positive position since they've come over, and they've been quite quiet. They've kind of like shut up and let the people they put in charge deal with it all. But I think they deserve a bit of credit. They've kind of sorted our finances out from what it looks like. We need to obviously, it might be a little bit different now with all the coronavirus stuff that's happened this year. It might have set them back a little bit more. But you just need to look at like the likes of Cardiff applying for a loan to help with just the normal transfer of money, not like transfers, but like the cash flow in the club. They're obviously
That's a
struggling.
shambles, that is as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't agree with that whatsoever. Mind applying for an EFL loan when they've just paid a loan fee for Harry Wilson. They throw it. What did they in the?
They signed their left back
who's
and they
the
signed that
youngster?
Waters from Crewe.
Waters, that's the one.
Yeah.
And then within the space of 3 weeks, they're applying for an EFL loan. I mean,
Yeah, so we don't know the ins and outs of that. It's a
bit.
bit dodgy, but that's what I'm just trying to say is highlight how, like, you know, we have been well publicised to be in financial issues. We sold a lot of our players as a result. That was upsetting to see, and everyone was rightly not happy about it. But we're in a decent position. We're not like on the bottom of the league where we could have been. You've got other teams that are throwing money around like Stoke, who, even though they're having a good season this year, they came down with us. They've spent a lot of money, and we've consistently finished above them. And they've consistently underachieved. You've got Huddersfield have come down, and again, they had a struggle, and they're doing okay again this year. But again, another example. I know the ones that come down this year have done a little bit better, but you could argue they didn't lose as many players because of COVID, because other teams couldn't afford to buy them. So they were better placed with the squads to maybe go and have a better challenge to go straight back up. But then I maybe wouldn't include Norwich because they hardly signed anyone when they went up in the first place. But
but I mean,
I just think they deserve a little bit of credit. Look, they did make mistakes, but that's in the past now. You can just judge them for what's happening now. Would if Hugh Jenkins was still here, would things have really been that different? Because I personally feel the decline was already starting under him and the others, and potentially maybe they just jumped ship before the stuff happened. So it looks like it wasn't anything to do with them. But yeah, probably going to get absolutely shouted in the comments. But
right, yeah, no, I think, like you said, long-term picture. I mean, at the time when there was speak of a fire sale and they were laying off staff members around the club and they were selling all our assets, but now you can see they had a 2-3 year plan, because a lot of the signings you could say now that we made over the last sort of 30 days, that all right, apart from Ben Hamer and sort of Hoolahan and a couple of them in there are long-term transfers, so it looks like they're building rather than wanting success today. Like you could say the team 30 miles up the road they wanted yesterday. They're building a long-term future, and I think they deserve credit. I was one of their biggest critics when they first took over. I'll be totally honest. It seemed like they were just in there for a quick buck and selling all their best players, downgrading the Lando training academy and laying off staff around the club. But to be honest, all things considered, now in hindsight, especially with this last sort of transfer window, I think they do deserve credit.
Yeah, definitely. I think what you said about the plan is definitely correct, and I mean I couldn't ask for. We're second in the league at the end of the day, with a team that's largely made of players that we've developed or brought in and developed, or like it just feels. The club just feels better now. It's not full of players that come here just for a wage. Like when you think back to the relegation, you think of seeing pictures of Ki-Sung Young outside, speaking to his agent straight away, get me a new club because we've gone down. The other side of it, you saw people like Fabianski visibly upset. So there's, not every player is necessarily just after a wage, but some of them really didn't care. And there's an interview I think Connor Roberts did a couple of weeks ago with BBC saying how much he was hurt by it and how much it means to him.
Yeah,
and you can see that in the way he plays now, in the confidence. Yeah. And I think even he had stick for being one of these players before, but even Andre Ayew, he doesn't need this. I know he's on a good wage, but he didn't need to spend 2 years in the Championship. He didn't have to do that. If he just, he probably could have gone somewhere for a payday like China or Turkey or somewhere like that. I'm quite confident, he's probably had a lot of offers, but he plays every game, he puts in like 100% effort, and you can't really ask for any more. His brother didn't do that, to be fair. Ali, his brother sort of like
Yeah, no, you're right. No.
jumped ship and didn't want to go training or
Yeah,
playing a
it's
friendly or whatever happened. Obviously, we don't know the ins and outs. Maybe we're led to believe this stuff, but he could have been the same way. I know he went off to Turkey on loan, but that was definitely a cost-saving exercise in the first year. And I think the same thing would have happened in the second year. But then Cooper obviously pushed for him to stay, I think. He could see, obviously, Andre would do it, and he wanted to and had passion for the club. And I think coming in as a manager, the first thing he did was put his foot down and say, I could use him, and it paid off, really. So, again, credit where due there.
And I think you're both right. I think there's there's a good feeling around the club at the moment, from what I can tell. Looking from the outside in, all players seem to want to be there, all want to play for the club. They all sort of buy into Cooper's philosophy, and I think you're right. I think looking now in hindsight, and I remember texting you boys when we thought it was a bit of a fire sale coming in when we came down. I think just to first season coming down from the Premier League, a club like us to finish 11th or 12th, whatever it was, then reach the playoffs and then have a promotion push. In that short space of time, I think it's been managed so well. So we can't really complain what they've done so far. Yeah. The business they've done this year, I think, has been brilliant, and it could be worse because I was reading earlier. I don't know how true it is, but they were saying about the American owners taking over Burnley now, and they saying that apparently they've taken a loan to buy the club, and they've just taken debt now straight into the club. I don't know if that's true, but that's what's.
I think football clubs are just becoming a business these days, and we were obviously a result of the takeover was dodgy. We had a dodgy time, like I said. Don't know the situation with how Jenkins left it really, but the buyers are coming in. It's a business for them. It doesn't matter who's buying your club. It's money. They're not buying it to just have a little bit of fun, are they? They're buying it to benefit, really. And whatever club is having a sale, that's the reality these days. Football clubs are a business. And unfortunately, as fans, that's just something I think football, you're going to have to accept it. It's only going to get worse. As more money gets pumped in, it's only going to get worse. And we could have definitely had it worse off than what we have. We obviously didn't have it the best, but we definitely haven't had it the worst. At least our club is still here. And recently there's been clubs that can't say that. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that. I'm sure we'll be discussing stuff like that a lot in the future. But just wanted to do a quick roundup then of some key transfers that have happened throughout the league, rather than just the Swans. So I've made a list of some of the ones that I will mention. Not going to really talk about all of them in detail. A couple of them maybe you've got a little bit more to say on than others, but I think you've got some as well, John, yeah, that you want to talk about.
Yeah, just a couple of just our main rivals, really. I mean, I'm not going to. It's just a quick jot off wiki if I'm totally honest.
Yeah,
but
same.
I mean, a lot of the teams around us haven't made sort of. I tell you, the one that does catch the eye for me is that I mentioned it earlier, is that Zickernagel from Porto Glimt. I mean, I find that a really interesting transfer, really. But whether
where do you say he's gone again?
In the Championship to Watford in the Championship, so I mean that could be that could give them that extra 10%. Let's hope not. But I mean,
well, Troy Deeney's not doing it for him anymore, is he? So.
Well, no, it's a strange on that is as well. I mean, but
he's just quite old now.
That's a long time ago.
He's just
he got rid of Glenn Murray as well, didn't he? He went, so I think
they did, yeah.
So that's probably an improvement there.
Oh, Glenn Murray was at Watford, was he?
Yeah, he went to Forest.
Yeah, he's on my list that I've got. I didn't realise I missed that bit that he was already here because he hasn't really been playing, has he? To be honest. So anyway, I'll start off with. The big one, I guess, is an outgoing from Preston. So Liverpool signed centre-back Ben Davies. Now, I don't know why. I think you agree with me in this. I thought he was older than what he is, but he's 24. Come through at Preston. And Liverpool's unfortunate defensive situation has meant that he's now got an opportunity to play at the best club currently in the English system. So whether he's going to play so much, you can't really say no to that opportunity. Maybe he will under Klopp and he'll have a future there, but I didn't see that coming, to be honest. Don't know if you two got any thoughts on that, but that was a bit random. When I saw it, I was like, what?
Stinks of desperation now, and I think with their defensive sort of signings, I think you've got to, it makes sense because he probably will do a better job at centre half than say, I don't know, Jordan Henderson would do a centre half. So it makes sense because Matip is out for the season now as well, isn't he? I think.
Is he out for the season? I didn't realise.
I think when everybody's. Yeah, he's out for the season now. So I think when everybody's. They signed some from Schalke as well, didn't they? So signed 2 centre halves.
He's the one that they're like after long term, though, and he that one from Schalke, that Turkish guy, was it?
Yeah, but I think as soon as like Matip comes back fit next season and Van Dijk, like Ben Davies, absolutely no chance he's not going to play. Yeah, I
think like they signed him for $2 million. I know his contract's up in the summer. We sold obviously Joe Rodon, but I think Preston fans be a little bit more annoyed that he's gone for $2 million than what we were annoyed Joe Rodon's price.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's a lot of bigger clubs taking advantage again now of the.
He was going to go for free
like
in
the
summer.
COVID thing.
Yeah, there's been a bit of a turnover in Preston as well. A couple of ins and outs. I haven't got all of them, but there's been a few. Another one is Ben Pearson has gone from Preston to Bournemouth, and he's centre midfielder. I don't really know too much about him, but they seem quite excited about that one. And he's done. I think he's a bit of a. I don't know what the word is. Maybe a bit like Jay Felton, sticks his foot in a bit of a niggly centre mid, gets stuck in sort of thing. I think that's
another one though. We say about Bournemouth dropping off. They've done some good business, I think, Bournemouth, haven't they?
Well, they have dropped off. That's just whether they can come in now and change their fortunes.
That's how quick they can blend those players into that squad, because they are dropping a bit. But they were Wilshere and Winston Reid and Shane Long. Did he go to Bournemouth as well?
Yeah. Did you say Wilshere then, John? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Jack Wilshere and Shane Long. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those two signings which could go either way. Shane Long could score 10 goals now between now and the end of the season, or he could sit on the bench. You know, he's got a proven goal record, Shane Long. But I mean, again, with Wilshere, his injury record would be the question mark. But those signings could be make or break for him, I suppose. Whereas we've made 4 or 5 across the board, which are, you know. In our position, I'd rather be.
I like what business that we do. Like same with the managers, we don't sort of. It'd be easy for us to just
pull a big
bring someone in who's tried and tested.
Yeah.
Wilfred Boney 3.
But they brought in. No chance. Yeah, they brought in. They brought in Potter. Nobody taking a chance on him. They brought in Cooper. Nobody taking a chance on him. And same with the signings they bring in. Like all these teams now bringing in Shane Long, and like you said about Stoke, bringing in all the same names that are just.
Who's done it before? Oh, I'll get him because he's done it before. Whereas we're like, who's done it somewhere that no one really cares about?
We'd rather search for the diamonds in the rough. Like, look at Ashley Williams, non-league player.
Michu, just if us work for us.
Yeah, so we've got
back to our roots. Yeah. Okay. We're speaking about Bournemouth. So Dan Gosling has gone from Bournemouth to Watford. He's a bit of a veteran, I think. 190 appearances for Bournemouth, mainly in the Premier League.
That's another one.
I don't think he's been in their team, but a bit of experience going from one relegated team to another. So that's, I don't know, a bit weird, isn't it? How he can not play for Bournemouth, but he's going to go to Watford and get in the team.
Again, that's just a squad signing, surely, isn't it? It's just to add to the sort of the 14 or the 18 in the squad. I think that would be.
It's another one signing a name that's just bouncing around all the time.
I think what's happened is the new manager's come in, hasn't he? James Garner was at loan at Watford. He doesn't like him, so he's now gone on loan to Nottingham Forest instead, and they've got Gosling in because he prefers him for his style of play. So it's kind of like a little merry-go-round sort of thing. But yeah, we were linked with Garner, so now he's gone to Forest. So it didn't really work for him.
Was he on loan from Man United, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah.
I think he started today, or he's on the bench, but yeah, weird one that is. Okay, Henry Lansbury then, from Bristol City, from Villa, so another centre mid out from Villa. I think they signed him, like the same window they signed Horahan. So he's another one of them ones you said though, that name that just floats around and
just knocks about. Yeah. He was an Arsenal youngster, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, Arsenal product that's basically made his career in the Championship. So he's been at Watford and Norwich and West Ham, and I think they all went up when he was part of the team. I might be wrong on Watford.
Yeah, there's another one in there. Like everyone, it's Lansbury. Oh my god! I remember just like watching the Swans to the leagues. And just to pop up and everyone's like, "Oh,
I used to like want to sign him from Football Manager."
Never done anything. Just like, what does he do? Like?
He was actually at Forest for quite a few years, and he did become their captain before Villa went on a mad spending spree and signed him, along with a lot of other players that didn't work. One of which, I think they had on loan at the time, was Yannick Bolasie, who was gone from Everton to Middlesbrough to work with Neil Warnock. I haven't really done anything for a couple of years, has he? But if he can get back to the heights that he was at Palace, because he had the £25 million move to Everton in 2016, very good back then.
He wasn't Hugh Jenkins was going to sign him, wasn't he? For £100,000, wasn't he? Yeah, Hugh Jenkins came out in the Evening Post and said that he nearly came to the Swans. He took, I can't remember the
like Jamie Vardy.
We got loads of them. We nearly signed Mahrez and Eddie Van Dijk. All they all nearly came to the Swans. Vardy.
Well, was a striker from Atletico Madrid. Didn't want to come to us because we were going to get relegated.
David Villa.
Oh, that was under Laudrup. I'm on about when we were going down now. I remember we couldn't sign anyone because we were in such bottom of the league. There was that striker. Gaitan. Was there one of them? It was Gaitan and someone else. And I can't remember. He started playing for him again after that. He wasn't in favour at the time.
Was it something to do with Dortmund? Did someone
something like
someone get injured? Yeah, something.
I have to check because it's doing my head in.
Yeah, I think it was Gaitan, and somebody got injured.
That was Schürrle. That was Schürrle. We were going to sign Schürrle from Dortmund.
Oh, Schürrle.
And then they had an injury, and then he was back in the team.
That's it. Yeah.
But that was.
Oh yeah, I think that
was pretty much done deal. I think, but yeah.
Another one to the Hugh Jenkins scrapbook, is it?
Yeah.
But I think that was Carlos Carvajal, and he genuinely actually did nearly come, but Dortmund had an injury and it cancelled it. But I can't find this striker that I'm on about. I still in my head and I can't think of his name. That's that, you know when you like.
Yeah, it was Gaitan.
It was two players. It was Gaitan and someone else from Atletico Madrid, and basically we couldn't get them because they were like, you're at the bottom of the league and it's dodge. So I'm not coming. Oh, there we are. Kevin Gameiro, that's it.
Oh, he's still banging him in France. Yeah, he's a France international, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, but at the time he was at Atletico Madrid and he wasn't playing.
Is he French?
Yeah, I think he's French.
Yeah, he's French.
I don't know. Yeah, I think. I might be wrong. I think he is though.
So, after that, then we stay in with Bournemouth because Josh King left finally, gone to Everton. So he's probably their best striker. Not that he's played much this season. I think he was injured for most of it. And Shane Long has been their replacement for him. Then they got him from Southampton, which you did touch on already, John. He's 34 though. I don't think he's done much in the Prem the last couple of years, really. He's on a bit of a goal drought. He is.
I didn't realise he was that.
He just runs at you all the time.
Yeah, he's a lost cause striker, and he will chase and chase and chase all day. But that could turn out to be a brilliant signing for them. He could score 10 goals now between now and the end of the season, and that could be the difference between them getting the playoffs or automatics. So yeah, I think that's a sort of 50-50 one there. But Josh King is, I mean, what I seen him, he was banging goals in the Premier League, and I think it's going to work under Ancelotti. I think Josh King could be a brilliant signing for them.
I think he was linked to like Man United a year or two ago as well.
Yeah,
but he's a bit old, so I think that's why he didn't end up going. Speaking of Bournemouth, a little bit of an update. They've just lost 2-1 to Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. They lost today.
So they've actually only gained 1 point in their last 5 matches with 4 defeats on a bounce.
He'll be gone soon. He'll be sacked.
Yeah, I'll take that. Gives us a little bit of a gap between 6th. If we can actually manage to win against Norwich, we'll be 11 points clear of 6th. That's a solid bit of information. Carrying on then. So another big one. Yeah, go on. Having not spent on the money.
No, I just said we'd be 8 points clear of Bournemouth, 11 points clear of Bournemouth, having not bought all the big signings that they brought in.
Yeah. Big signing, well, I say big signing, big name sort of for the Championship. Winston Reid from West Ham to Brentford. 222 appearances for West Ham in the Premier League, or most of them in the Premier League. So, centre-back strengthening there at Brentford. I I think maybe someone was injured or something, but he's probably going to come into their first team, and you'd say it's just going to make them even stronger than what they already are. So one to keep an eye on. I think we mentioned this one as well. Glenn Murray from Brighton to Nottingham Forest. That's obviously Chris Hughton bringing back one of his former players that done well for him at Brighton. Although he is 37 years old now. He did score 111 goals for Brighton. 25 in the 2 years they've been in the Premier League. Are you surprised he's still doing it at that age?
I didn't really do anything for Watford, did he, before I can remember. But,
I think, yeah.
again, I think it's quite clever. Like, Houghton can probably get a tune out of him. And I think, like, on the Balassi signing as well, like, Warnock will probably get a tune out of him, won't he? I think it's clever bringing in players that you know, because like what Warnock did with Bamba as well at Cardiff, just bringing in players that do the job for him. And I think it makes sense, really.
Well, Warnock got
probably
a
the same
tune
with
out of
Murray.
Yeah, Warnock got a tune out of Adel Tarabt. Back in
the only manager.
Wasn't that the year we went up? That was the year we went up, actually, when he was boss in the Championship.
Oh my God! I went to QPR on Boxing Day, and it was like -10, and it was the coldest day ever, and they absolutely battered us 4-0, and Tarat just run the show. He absolutely dominated Joe Allen. No.
Next one then is interesting for past connections to the Swans. Tom Ince from Stoke to Luton. So he's 29 years old now, and we were obviously linked with him in the past when he was at Blackpool, and he was strolling around with his dad as his agent. Just before Laudrup got sacked, I believe, but we didn't end up signing him, and we ended up signing David Ngog instead. I'm sure that was like Laudrup's part. Knowing he was going, he was like, do you know what?
Yeah, his final fuck you transfer. Like.
You can have this instead.
Well, I think
have fun.
We used to have rubbish. See, this is looking back at the deadline days that we used to have. We used to bring in like Ngog, and I remember that one. I was driving back from somewhere like late in the night, listening to Deadline Day on the radio, and we signed Emnes and Ngog.
Emnes scored in the derby, didn't he? He scored a winner in the derby. Emnes did, didn't he?
This was after that, though. This was
the second time we signed him. Yeah, but he did all right. Like in Monk's first game after this now, where we played Cardiff and won 3-0, Emnes started that game as Cam, and he was like actually all right. And then Pablo came on half time, and the rest is history. That ball he played for Outledge.
Leroy Leiter is another one, isn't it? I remember that. I'm sure he came from Reading. And
that was weird. That was
like a wet fart.
We had Luke Moore, Leroy Leiter, Danny Graham.
Luke Moore, yeah. Oh, Danny Graham's a legend, don't mind.
Yeah, no, but that was what I mean.
Still do a job now.
I don't really get why we had Leiter as well after. But...
Yeah, that's true.
And then Dobby was still there at the time, but then he didn't really play much in the Prem. Disappointed about that. But...
What a player.
Okay, moving on. So we got Etienne Capoue has moved from Watford to Villarreal. I forgot he was still there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot he was still there.
He's made 11 appearances this season.
Loan made permanent, I think I was, wasn't it?
Has he already gone before? He has made 11 appearances for them this season, but then I guess the first transfer deadline... Yeah, but saying that, the first transfer deadline shut later, didn't it? So
into the
maybe he played early games, but then went. I'm not sure. I just know that they've made that permanent now. Jordan Archer, goalkeeper, from Motherwell to Middlesbrough. I think he used to play for Millwall. Made quite a few appearances for them as number one keeper. Got Chris Brunt, who had his contract terminated by Bristol City because of injury, being out of contract in the summer. They've just terminated that early. He's a name as well. He's going to float up somewhere, probably.
He'd only just joined them from West Brom, didn't he? Did he join them start the season from West Brom?
He's had a long-term injury since he's been there, and he was only on a one-year deal, so... Ched Evans on loan to Preston from Fleetwood Town.
To Preston?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a surprising one, isn't it?
Probably.
I think Ched Evans had a promising career, mind, and then he had a lot of personal issues going on, didn't he? And then he had...
Yeah,
I don't know, he
and
went
then
to prison or whatever happened, but the rape or wasn't or whatever it was. But I mean, a bit of a fall from grace from him. But I mean, he's a Welsh international, or he was as well. I don't know. There might be something in that, man.
He was 32 years old when he... Well, no, he's 32 years old now. I think he was in the Championship when he stopped playing
When
for
all the
the
nonsense
reasons.
happened, yeah.
So he's back to the Championship. So I guess for him, a little bit of like getting back to where he was.
Yeah, full circle.
Before he's retired, so maybe he feels accomplished. Rolando Aarons from Newcastle to Huddersfield, 25-year-old winger. He's had a couple of loans around the place the last couple of years, but I don't think he's ever quite made it at Newcastle. Charlie Austin from West Brom to QPR on loan.
Yeah, I think that's a class signing.
He scored
yesterday.
Night. Well,
yeah,
yesterday when this was going out, obviously.
That's a quality signing.
Yeah, so to be honest, I would take Charlie Austin here. I think for a number of years, people would have said that. Always scored goals at this level.
Well, they're only just like sort of floating outside the playoffs, aren't they, QPR?
Are they? No, they're doing bad. They've had a poor season. They're 17th at the moment. They are only 5 points clear of Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, never mind.
1 point less than Cardiff.
Less.
One point less than Cardiff.
Let's not laugh too hard. Jack Clark to Stoke on loan from Tottenham. He's the player that Tottenham brought from Leeds a couple of years ago. Loaned him straight back. I think they loaned him back last season as well, but he didn't hardly play for them last season. And the second half of last season he went to QPR, didn't hardly play again. Everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing when Spurs signed him and Leeds made a push to bring him back for the rest of the season on loan. But he's gone a bit quiet, so interesting one for Stoke. Maybe they can reignite his career. Godos to Brentford has been made permanent. One from Cardiff, where Gavin White has gone to Hull on loan. I think he played in a couple of derbies. I think he might have started the first one. The last one. The first one of the Warnock, I think.
That Gavin White burst on the scene, didn't he? I'm sure he scored a goal in his first couple of games for Cardiff, and they said he's the next up and coming thing. But again, he's just sort of fizzled out into nothing.
I just don't think he suits their style.
But I mean,
he's little. He's a little winger, isn't he? So I don't think they play hoofball. It's just
doesn't fit the system.
Jack Wilshere, which you touched on, that's got to be if that pays off, that's got to be one of the better ones. Jack Wilshere.
It's whether he can stay fit, I think, with Wilshere. I think if he can get a run of games and he can stay off the injury table, I think that could be a decent signing, mate.
I don't know with Wilshere. I think I don't know what he offers now.
I guess we'll have to see. I think he's the sort of player that would be perfect if you get him on a pay-as-you-play deal. And then you can try him out, but he's just been he's just been lost potential or never reached the potential, or maybe he was overhyped. Who knows? He was part of some good Arsenal.
Yeah, no, that's a dodgy. Yeah, all right. You got a couple of good YouTube clips, but that's another one. Where you just sign these names all the time.
Oh,
I think Horahan coming to the Swans. Though. Bournemouth could have attracted him, couldn't they, to go there?
Oh yeah,
they did. He said he had a few offers.
You've taken him all day over Wilshere, haven't you?
Cooper effect.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Last one then is Max Waters from Crawley to Cardiff. So apparently they can spend money because they signed him when we were looking to sign him. How much did they pay for him though? Because what is it, $1 million? Because obviously we paid this $700,000 for this Whittaker, but we wouldn't pay what Crawley wanted for him. Maybe we didn't think he was as good because he's coming from League 2, is it? So I guess maybe it's a bigger risk. I don't know.
It's the same sort of risk, isn't it? I guess you could say Whittaker has played a high level of football. He's got championship experience. So
I think what it comes down to, maybe Cooper knows him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I trust that.
Okay. Well, that's transfers from Championship. Have I missed anything that you got there, John?
No, mate, you've covered it and more, to be honest. My little scribblings, you've zipped past them ages ago. Oh, Blackburn Inns, Taylor Harwood-Bellis on loan from Man City, whatever you make of that. So
I don't really know much about him. I think that's why I didn't write it down.
Oh, Pep rates him, so there we are. We'll
Does
see
he?
what happens.
Fair, that's good.
Yeah,
Maybe he'd
apparently
be.
so. Apparently so.
There's been a couple in there, like the Harvey Elliott that's at Blackburn from Liverpool, been one of the players of the
Yeah,
season in the Championship,
Yeah.
so maybe they can get another one.
exactly.
Okay. Swansea and Norwich on Friday then. So as of recording, we've got some extra information to use, and that is Norwich just drew against Millwall. As I mentioned earlier, that means now if we do win, we will be within the chance of going ahead of them if we win our game in hand. So a little bit extra to play for, if you like. The last 5 matches for both teams then, so you can maybe judge what you're going to say on this then, boys, is both teams have 3 wins and 2 draws in their last 5 matches. And I'm not including Norwich's result tonight in this, because this is from when I did it earlier. So Swansea have wins against Rotherham away, Barnsley away and Watford at home, draws with Brentford and Reading at home. And Norwich have wins against Bristol at home, Cardiff away and Barnsley at home, and draws against Middlesbrough and QPR at home. So they've had a lot of home games, 4 up to the last 5. However, and this might be positive for us, well, I say might be, I think it's 100% going to be positive for us. In the last game, other than tonight, Buendia got a red card against Middlesbrough, 2 yellow cards. However, it was his second suspension of the year, which means there's a 2-match ban. They can't appeal it because it was 2 yellows, so he's 100% out for our game. How much of an impact is that going to have?
Oh, that's huge, isn't it? I think I read some sort of crazy stat the other day that he's one of the top creative midfielders in all of the top European leagues, or he's up there within the top 5. So I mean, take that out of any side, and it can only be advantage. It can only be an advantage for us. I think Friday's game is massive. I can't wait. I mean, I know there's still games to play after this, but I think it could really be a turning point in our season if we can nick a 1-0, or if we can not even nick a 1-0, if we can dominate the game and get the 3. So I think it could be huge for our season moving forward.
Yeah. Do you know, I just really hope that it's not another game like Brentford. Like, I really hope we don't go there looking for a draw or like not to lose. We go and try and win. And what I would love to see is like us to go out there and be like, do you know what? We know we were poor in our Brentford game, and we know we kind of got away with one, even though it paid off, all the tactics, whatever you want to say. But we're going to go out there and show everyone that we can go and play with the best teams and get a result. I would love to see them just go out there and shuttle the Brentford fans up to say that we're awful and we're in a false position, with all these Brentford Tactic FC on Twitter being like, the XG charts show Swansea are awful, they're never going to keep up the same defensive record for the second half of the season, whatever they like to say with their stats, whatever. The facts are we have done it. I'd like to see us continue it, but also push on and say, look, we're going to take the game to Norwich and we're going to beat them because they haven't got their most creative outlet. We're not concerned about conceding as a result of that. And let's be honest, we should have beaten them up there. If Jamal Lowe was the Jamal Lowe of 3 weeks later, we would have beaten them 2-1 because he had 2 sitters that he missed in that game.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, but I think I might be me getting too excited. But you're saying about Swan shouldn't be there, like Brentford fans saying. I actually think that we're the only consistent side in that top 6. Because Reading started well and fell away. Bournemouth were sort of up there, now they're falling away. Norwich have had a bit of a dip in form now, and Brentford started slow and now they're coming. We've consistently been in that mix, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, sort of in that area all the way through the season.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think this is the game. If we can win this game, that's a big statement if we can win this game at home. And then it's sort of in our hands then, going into the last sort of back end of the season. And I think, to be fair, all the teams that we played in the top 6, Reading, we dominated at home. We should have won. We drew. Drew with Bournemouth at home. I know we drew with Brentford. We drew with Brentford away. We should have beaten Norwich away. I think we're in there on merit, and I think this is a massive game.
I think we're definitely there on merit. That's why I made a point of saying these Brentford channels that are pulling up the stats and all this, that, the other, saying how, look, the stats for them show they're attacking under the... We all said they were the most... they were favourites to go up after last season. We all expected them to be where they are, challenging for the title, whatever. but don't discredit what we've done so far because the stats don't agree with it. I don't care what the XG says about how many chances we conceded. Like, our defence is there on merit. You can't say over the course of over half a season, only conceding 15 goals is luck, and it's going to change. Maybe we will concede a little bit more over the second half of the season, but it hasn't been luck up to this point. You make your own luck, don't you? You get in the right positions, you get the confidence, and you go for that block, and you make the block. And they're all playing with confidence at the moment, and the defence is working every week in, week out. I think we're on like 15 or 16 clean sheets as well, so it's not an accident, and I just really dislike when people try to say otherwise about that.
But it's a side of the Swans you've never seen before. Like, we were Brentford before we went up to the Premier League. We played the lovely football, and we didn't always get the results that we deserved all the time. Now, this is just a different sort of side of us. You've got the steel, you've got the defence.
Yeah.
We are just dragging results out of games that we would normally lose. So they've done well this season. As I said, they've been consistent all the way through, and they deserve to be where they are.
They battered us in that game, but last season, like, they battered us. I mean, they battered us in the match. They didn't batter us on the score. Last season, they would have probably scored about 3 goals, 4 goals. I reckon, on that night. Yeah. But this season, that's not the case. Going a little bit more into Norwich then and their form. Already said Wendy is not going to be available. Hugh Gill is also not available. Timo Pukki is always going to start up front, so it's probably not a massive loss, but maybe off the bench he might have come on to change the game. That's not going to be available to them. I believe that's an injury. They also lost to Barnsley in the FA Cup. Now, they did put out a mixed team, but there were several players there that started that in their first team. So, it's not like... It's probably the period of the season where they've maybe looked at their weakest for a while. I think maybe they had a little bit of a slow start, but they've been up there or thereabouts ever since. Now is maybe a time where they're looking a little bit more vulnerable. And I did drop into a watch-along for their match earlier before we started recording this. And the fans were saying about today's game that they looked a bit boring. They weren't happy with how they're playing. It didn't look good. The result then, they ended 0-0. So I guess it reflected that in the end. So it looks like it's a good time for us to play, and that's why I really think we should take the game to them. They tend to be in tight games, the same as us. So there was a bit of a meme saying we couldn't score more than 2 in a league match, which we did break the other day. But we've scored 33 and conceded 15. They've scored 35, conceded 21. It's quite similar on the goals scored, considering people like to say we don't score that many. We're 2 off the league leaders, but our defence is obviously a lot better. So I think it's quite an evenly matched game. And again, I know we're going back to it, but I think that Buendia is going to be the key difference in our favour. Have you got anything you'd like to add then, John?
Did Buendia play tonight for them, Because, I mean, 0-0, and like you said, their supporters screaming that their play was boring. To me, that says that they're missing their main creative player, which is obviously Buendia in their case, isn't it? So, I mean...
No, he didn't play tonight. He's suspended today and the next game. 2 matches.
There we are. So there we are. The proof is in the pudding, isn't it? So, like you said, we've seen that crazy stat where he's the most sort of creative midfielder or one of the most in the top 5 European leagues or the top 6 or whatever. And they go and draw 0-0 tonight. So hopefully they're still struggling to find that firepower on Friday now, and we can sort of hopefully we can make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know we keep talking about him, but I genuinely think that's the talking point for this game, and it's how they adapt to him not being there. They could prove us wrong, and we're talking in the post-match about how Timo Pukki has scored a hell of a goal, or I don't know, Todd Cantwell, I think he's another good player they've got, but most of their play does go through Buendia, and even Arsenal were linked with him recently, so there's definitely there's definitely flame to that fire. So yeah, anything else you'd like to add then, Leon, on Norwich?
No, I'm trying to think. Not much else really. I think, like I said, it's their game, isn't it? It's definitely the perfect time to play them, as they've dipped in. The pressure's on them, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Like they're top of the league now. They've got to win that game, really, haven't they?
I guess a draw is not a bad result for them because it keeps them top.
Yeah.
a draw might put them at risk of Brentford, but keeps them in the automatic, like keeps us from having that potential of overtaking them. So probably for them, a draw is better than for us, especially with us being home. Okay then, so the other thing I've got is just Max Aarons as well, another one to watch. He's definitely like very similar to Connor Roberts, gets forward well, and he's a very good, highly rated English youngster. So he's another one I think is one to watch. But having said that then, what do we think about the team? I've gone for no changes, except potentially Dander coming out for Fulton. That's the only one I think might happen. But he might keep Dander in, because I think, did Dander start the other leg of this? I'm not sure, but this is the sort of game where two teams play decent football, so you might keep Dander in to try and play through them. But I'm not sure. It's a big game, and for big games he tends to play as midfield 3, so I'm leaning more towards Fulton will start. Lee, what do you reckon about the team?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think it's going to be same as, but with Fulton coming in, like you said, Buendia's out, so they've got to come down here and create something against the best defence in the league.
Yeah.
So I think he's just going to put Fulton. Is Smith still injured? I'm guessing he's probably still injured, is he?
I didn't see how long he's out for, to be honest, but he wasn't on the bench for the last game, so I'm going to go with he's probably not going to start.
I think, I think it'll be the same then. Just Fulton coming in with Horahan and Grimes in the middle, and I think it's just going to be on them. Can you break our defence down? And if you can't, then we're going to take our chances. I think that's what it's going to be like.
I got a feeling as well, before John gives your team news, I haven't got this as confirmed. I'm assuming that Arriola is not going to be available, because his signing only got done yesterday. I don't know. I don't think he was in Swansea. You got to have 10 days isolation, haven't you? I think, coming from abroad, and it was quite late that it all went through. So I've got a feeling he's not going to be available. But again, I'm speculating there. But it looked like from his little interview he did, or like video that he did saying he was happy, it looked like he was like in an apartment. Probably he wasn't at the training ground or anything. So, but yeah, John, your team.
No, I'd go the same, boys. I don't think we need to make any changes, do we? I mean, I think Fulton does come in, especially after his cameo against Rotherham, that finish at the front post. Yeah. I mean, obviously he's not in the team to do that. So if he bags a goal and all the better. But yeah, I'd like to see Dander play, because we were just barking on about Norwich and missing that creative link, and that he is our creative in certain formations. He's that 10. He's the one that finds the pockets and can create things. So I'd love to see Dander play, but realistically, yeah, I think he'll go back to the tried and tested 3 and make us hard to break down.
Speaking of Dander, he did have a quiet game against Rotherham, but he got an assist, and it wasn't like the assist was good. That knockdown from that low ball, like he was only. I know he was only passing to someone next to him, but the way that he like sort of feathered it down lightly into his path, I think it was a very clever assist.
He's always got that touch of class. I think Dander in him. You might not see him all game, but then he will have that touch of class at some point during the game. So maybe that's why I'd be sort of leaning towards him coming off the bench, maybe at 0-0. If we're still 0-0, sort of
potentially
60 minutes, bring him on, might create something.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're all in agreement on that one then. Okay, so now is time for everyone's favourite moment. I'll have to get them off the other boys to add to our little table, but predictions. So I'll go with mine first, because I usually go last, but I've got mine here in front of me, so give you a little bit of time to, if you want to change your mind or whatever. But I've got 2-1 to Swans, big call. And the goal scorers are Andre Ayew and Ben Cabango. I really didn't know who to pick. I don't know who to pick, because the sharing the goals around so well. I was going to pick him, but I was like, is he really going to score in 3 games in a row? I hope he does, but it's so hard to pick the goal scorers now, because they share him around so well, which I'm not criticising at all. But like before, you would always say, is Ayew going to get us our goals? But you just can't even say that anymore. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But now it's just like the midfielders are chipping in, the wing backs are chipping in, the centre backs are chipping in. It's like, I don't know who's going to score. So that's who I've picked. I'm not changing it now. John, what have you gone for?
I've Yeah, 1-1. I'm going to say 1-1. I'd love to say that I'm confident we're going to get 3 points, but I 1-1. I'm going
Who's
to say
scoring your Swansea
1-1.
goal?
Carter Hoorhan in it. It's got to be. It's going to be about a 25-yard free kick, I reckon.
Yeah, okay. That's
no,
I hope so.
1-1. I'd be happy with the point, boys. To be honest,
Yeah, same.
And
I'd be
both,
happy.
I think both teams would be happy with the point. So yeah, that's what I'm going for.
I think so.
Lee?
Yeah, before we started, I was thinking draw, but then when we were talking about it, I sort of convinced myself that we're going to win now. So I think
He's going to go
I
for
was
it.
thinking 2-1 as well.
You went for
I
draw
was thinking
against
2-1
Rotherham.
like you, but yeah, I know, it's a shocker that was.
You can
I
go
think I'm
2-1.
going to go. I'll go 2-1 then, because I think we will be 2-1, and I will say I think Horahan's going to get 3 and 3. And I think Grimes again. I think he's going to get one because they seem to match each other at the moment.
Competition in that midfield. Can you imagine it again? It's like one of them scores. You're like, do you know what? Nah, I'm going to score a better one. I'd love it. That can happen every game for the rest of the season, and I'll be happy. But yeah, okay. So moving on from maybe Swansea related stuff from current, but I think there's something that is worth mentioning at the moment, and that is Ashley Williams this week announced his retirement. Now, I know when he left the Swans, a lot of people were a bit disappointed and I don't know. I just remember when he left, people weren't that happy with it. But I think we've got to credit where credit due. It was a massive part of our recent history and success. And it should be celebrated, really. So just want to talk a little bit about Ashley Williams. So have you got anything to say on him?
I mean, what to say that hasn't already been said? I suppose he's the epitome of Swansea City through sort of from 2007-8 all the way through to our Premier League days. Really, I mean, he's a warrior of a bloke. He's come through non-league. He's released by West Brom. He's played. I think it was for Hensford Town, and he's come up through the leagues. He joined the Swans, and he dragged us to the league. Dragged us maybe is a bit of a sort of exaggeration, but I mean, he was there solid at the back when we won League One, and we got up to the Championship, and we got up to the Premier League, and is the stuff he's done for Wales as well. I mean, I'd love to see the guy back. I know a lot is thrown about now about old players coming back and joining the coaching and all that, but I honestly think
you deserve
as
it.
the person he is, as the guy he is as well, he seems like an natural leader. I think he would do a tremendous job as a manager or a coach. But yeah, what you say about that hasn't already been said is he's absolute legend, absolute Swansea legend.
Yeah,
he was sort of the team was built on him, wasn't it? And it all started from sort of League One. I remember I think his debut was the Oldham away game, first game of the season, and I think that was the sort of the start of the rise. And I think it was built from him at the back, wasn't it? And I think you can't really say much else about him. He was epitomised that rise up to the Premier League, and he fitted in so well. All the different sort of styles of football we played, he was in there. We played the brilliant football under Laudrup. He was there. We played the hard football with Sousa, and he was just there all the time.
Cookie.
So I think, yeah, but he was, Ashley Williams was just at the heart of it all the way through. And I'd love to see him back as well, a legend. And just for that clip of him going into the Cardiff Stadium in Wales.
And there's also the infamous
think,
moment where he nearly killed Robin Van Persie as well.
Class. The first thing that comes to my head though with Ashley Williams is I remember he never scored a goal. He scored, I think he scored against Middlesbrough away, and he was just sort of showing off his muscles. And then he scored the week after and got the 2 out. And then I remember he scored against Chelsea away when they battered us when we first went up. Just class. I think though he left us maybe like a year too late because I think he'd passed his prime a bit.
Yes, I got that in my notes a little bit. Like I said, I think because he'd been with us for so long, I don't know how much of it was against him necessarily, but in the end, I think it did feel like maybe Everton came in and he pushed to go, didn't he? But you can't really begrudge him of it because in another era, say you had a parallel universe, the same stuff happened. I don't know how a different, bigger club didn't come in sooner, really. When you think about how well he did in the Premier League for so many years, how Tottenham or Everton themselves or someone like that hasn't come in before they actually came in. It's quite surprising. thinking of how often we lose players, and when he's coming to 31,
you've seen it now. They've got like, yeah, no, sorry, you've seen it now with like Tarkowski though at Burnley. Like, he's got to go to a bigger club, doesn't he? Because like, Burnley are sort of digging their heels in, and I think there was an element of that just to sort of keep him here.
Maybe.
But I think like Arsenal were with him, weren't they, for a while?
Yeah, it's just when he's 31, like that's when he left. That's how old he was. He's not going to go to a bigger club again, is he? He's got to go to Everton. So we've got to allow him to go. I just got a bit of my notes here about like his move to Everton. I was saying like, it was 12 million at the time. Seemed maybe a little bit cheap, but then he was 31. I guess you can't at 31 begrudge him a move to a bigger club. You think he would have come sooner in his career, and he's not going to get that opportunity again. And I personally think he could have gone better than Everton if he was earlier, but it is what it is, and that's who came in for him, so he had to go. And probably for us, it was the right time, because that's when he kind of started declining. He had reached his pinnacle at the Euros, scoring against Belgium. What a massive moment.
Yes.
And I guess it was just his time with the Swans was just near enough perfect, really, for us. Like, he won the League Cup, he took us to Europe as captain. So yeah, just one of them players. I think that legend status it goes around easily, but you got to put him in that bracket. I think just because of the path of our history he was so heavily involved in. But yeah,
definitely.
Ashley Williams then. So maybe we'll see him back one day as like the manager of the under-18s or something. We'll see. The last thing then, before we end the podcast then, lads, just wanted to have a little bit of a discussion about maybe a bit happier times, stuff that we might be looking forward to in the future, but we obviously haven't been able to go to football for a while. I haven't been able to go to away games. So I don't know when we're going to be able to do that again, but when we are able to go, what away game are you guys looking forward to going to? I don't know if you can see the hamster in the background. Crawling on the roof of the cage. He's literally never done that before. He wants attention, I think.
Got him excited now.
Oh, he's just fallen.
Got him excited about going back to game.
But yeah, what away game would you guys be looking forward to going to then? So a little bit of a talking point. Think about happier times and what we could be experiencing hopefully in the near future.
You know what I noticed earlier when I was having a quick flick through? The last game of the season for us this year is Watford away. Now, there's not much chances there's going to be supporters in the ground by then, but can you imagine a point or two to get into the top two positions, and it's us against Watford on a summer's afternoon?
That
would be perfect for me, but
that'd be stressful.
I can't.
Oh my God.
I can't see it happening. I can't see supporters being allowed in, but for me, that would be it. Fighting for the league last day of the season, beers flowing, sun shining, singing our hearts out, and it'd be brilliant. But I think it's a pipe dream. But there we are. We shall soon see.
But if you had the club in the Championship right now, if you could go to an away game, where would it be?
I don't know. It's got to be Cardiff, isn't it? We've already done that, haven't we?
Yeah, but that's obvious, isn't it? Cardiff. Okay, Lee, what about you?
I don't know, to be fair, what John just said, I didn't think of that Watford away last game. That would be absolutely, oh my God, that would be ructions. Imagine that was like the first away game back to win, to go up or something. That would be.
Can you imagine?
That's why I can't see us. I can't see us going. Yeah, I can't see us going back in this season, to be honest. But when the fixtures came out on that this season, I was sort of looking at. I'd like to have gone to Wickham away. I'd like to have done that, and Brentford away in their new stadium.
Yeah,
that would have been a good one.
You said Wickham.
And Cardiff, obviously.
I think we spoke about Wickham earlier this season. But I wrote down in mine, anything on the south coast, I think would have just been a nice day out all together.
Yeah, like a Bournemouth or something.
Even if you stayed the night before, whatever. It's just a nice area. So yeah, Weymouth or Bournemouth, exactly. That's what I would have liked to have done that. Whether it's going for the day or make it 2 days, I just think that's a good one. And you go up and have a couple of drinks, a nice area, got the beach there, like you said about the sun. But just in general, the experience.
Good away days,
I've never been, but I feel like that's a good area to go to. I don't know why. Just that's what I felt like.
It reminds you of the Mumbles there.
Yeah, Mumbles. Definitely.
The last week, I think the last away game I went to, I think, was the Cardiff game in January. That was the last away game I did.
Last year.
Well, I think, yeah, last season, the 0-0 in January. I think that was the last away game I went to in the January.
McBurney, like, riling up all the crowd, yeah?
Yeah, it was class. Oh, it was such a good day, I was. Selena hit the post. That would have ended everything.
Oh,
if
yeah.
I got it.
Oh, about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just in general about football in general. So like just bits I miss, just like obviously the drinks, for the banter, or, on the car or in the bus, or like when we've gone, get talk sport on the radio. Just I don't know, all part of the atmosphere in it. Or
Yeah, it's good.
John driving up to Birmingham and missing the exit and having to go up and down the M4 or whatever it is, the M5 a couple of times.
Yeah, we'll cut that bit out. Yeah.
Thinking actually, I was on my way to Middlesbrough one night when they cancelled the football that weekend.
Yeah.
I was driving.
Right. I remember that.
I was driving up on the Friday afternoon, and I think we got to sort of about Leeds, North Yorkshire way, and they came on Talk Sport then, and they cancelled all the sport that weekend. But we had the weekend in in Newcastle anyway. But yeah, I was on my way to that game, and they cancelled football.
The one thing I miss most, I say miss, it still happens now, but it's not the same. When you put like a tenfold acca on before you go to the match, and then you check it at half time and you realise it's just dead.
Yeah,
just like that video the other day.
You still do that now, don't you?
Yeah, but it's not the same when I'm just checking in, looking at the cash out the entire game. When you check it at half time, it's like, oh, what are the scores then? Am I in with the money? And then it's like, no, I'm not. But
that video of the Shrek one, that's made my year already.
I would put it in here, but I get copyright.
Yeah, that was quite good.
Yeah,
that was quite good.
But yeah, so on that note,
what I did notice before we go, boys. Know what I did notice in March when I was having a little scout through our fixtures earlier on. March the 3rd we got Stoke away. March the 9th we got Blackburn away. March the 16th we've got Bournemouth away, and then we finished the month at home to Cardiff on March the 20th. I mean, if we haven't got promotion by that 20th, can you imagine the atmosphere in that Cardiff game? Last game after coming through that sticky patch as well, Stoke, Blackburn, Bournemouth, and then we got Cardiff at home.
I can tell you, the atmosphere, there won't be any.
No, yeah, that's true, yeah.
No, I don't want to be negative, but yes, it would be an amazing
day. Can you imagine
the
size on that game, or everything that lies on that game, and the double as well? They could finally do the first sort of Welsh derby double as well, and for it to tie in promotion with us as well, that would be unbelievable. But yeah, imagine, I think March is going to be a tough month.
Can you imagine a win against Cardiff secures like playoffs or something?
I imagine it would make them sick, wouldn't it? I'd love it.
But yeah, on that note, as a positive note,
do you think
go on?
Oh no, I was going to say we would have won the league by then, so they'll give us a guard of honour.
No, I
don't think they definitely live that down,
isn't it?
Yeah. That's like nightmares for them.
They'd rather have Mick McCarthy than that.
But yeah, on that note then, we'll call it a day. So thank you very much if you've got this far. So don't forget, if you did get this far, please stick a thumbs up on the like button for us and drop us a subscription. It does help support us and allows us to grow and continue to do this and potentially take it further. So we want to look at maybe putting it on podcast sites, but that's something for the future. Let us know in the comments then if you agreed with all the shit that we talked today, or if you think we talked shit, then tell us and tell us why. Just get engaged in the conversation. But on that note, see you later then, guys. So thanks, Lee. Thanks, John.
Cheers, gents.
And catch you guys on Twitter, I guess. But yeah, see you in a bit. Ta-ra.